our bodies come. Under the stars we all are one. Now into deepest night we go, alone yet not alone. From the stars our bodies come. Under the stars we all are one. Now into deepest night we go, alone yet not alone.
The land is the mother, and we are of the land. We do not own the land. Rather, the land owns us. The land is our food, our culture, our spirit, and our identity.
Hello everyone, my name is James Cuskelly and I'm the director of this virtual summer school music program, and it's my pleasure to welcome you all to this final presentation. I'm coming to you from Ngurrabal and Budjalong country, and I want to pause to acknowledge the traditional owners of this land. I pay respect to the Indigenous people of Australia and I honour their deep connection to the land. I thank our Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples for the way that they have listened to and responded to the land and the sea, and for the many ways that they have tried to teach us to listen. I stand in solidarity with all who work for justice and peace, and I long for the recognition, the reconciliation, and the reparation which would help heal the wounds of the past and allow us to have a shared vision for a united future. Our summer school has included participants from all over the world. And I would ask you all to take a moment, wherever you are, to acknowledge and pay respect to the Indigenous people of your own area and First Peoples all around the globe. Let me take this opportunity to thank Dale Muller, an Indigenous man from our country who has shared the words of Dennis Foley, a Guy Mariagal and Wodjiri man, Fulbright scholar and Professor of Indigenous Entrepreneurship at the Canberra Business School. Thank you, Dale. Thank you, Dennis. It is clear that the land is fundamental to Indigenous people here in Australia, but also clear that other peoples around the globe also share this strong connection to the land.
Ngā mihi. This is a beautiful song about Papa Tuanuku, our Earth Mother, and the need to take care of her because she is our Māori. She gives life to all things. She's our life force. Mana ki tia Papa Tuanuku, tōna Māori ko tō Māori. Ia maira ora o ngā mea, ora katoa. Mana ki tia Papa Tuanuku, tōna Māori ko tō Māori. Ia maira ora o ngā mea, ora katoa.
people say to me, what's the difference between traditional and contemporary? One of my first cousins, said to me, he said, we need to think of tradition as an anchor that a boat is attached to. So it doesn't matter where the sea or where the wind blows that boat, the anchor will keep them grounded. So I guess in Torres Strait culture, and I guess in Indigenous culture, our traditions keep us grounded. Their culture is today the way that I look, things that I wear. This is my contemporary culture. So let's not confuse tradition and culture. So tradition is the grounding of the people. Culture is what we do and how today's society.
This dance was taught to me by my auntie, Del Sabasio. This song's called Ile Tue Tuelema, and this song and the dance, I've been told, is about a grandmother fishing, even though it may be questionable. Ile Tue Tuelema, Ile Tue Tuelema, Pe mama, pe mama, pe mama, hip. Ile tue tuelema, ile tue tuelema, pe mama, pe mama, hip. 1, 2, turn, stop. Hey. Ile tue tuelema, ile tue tuelema, pe mama, pe mama. Pe mama, hip. 1, 2, ra, ba, bum. That's all for that.
What is your school, what is your organization doing to establish relationships with Indigenous people? You know, Indigenous wealth is not money, it's about relationships.
So this idea of who are I to you, who am I in relationship, is really important. And one of the ways that I often think about this is that if we put relationship at the center of our practice, many, many other things start to happen. So I call this the circle of R's. So if relationship is in the center, if we start thinking about who am I in relation with, I'm sorry if that's really small, we start actually thinking about recognizing. There's a recognition there around who am I, who are they, and how are we together? How does this relationship look and how is it going to work? Which I'll just circle through. So there are particular responsibilities that are associated with that. As soon as we start saying, I'm going to enter into relationships and I'm going to acknowledge that relationship, I'm going to recognize it, then automatically we start thinking, maybe getting that old Alice Moyle recording from the library is not really the way to engage in a relationship if I'm going to think about the way I might do this work meaningfully. So there's a respect there, and there is research. As some of you said, when we don't know very much about the culture, how do we do this work? Well, I guess one of the other words there, responsibility. The responsibility is on us to do the research. And that's a respectful way to move forward. And then it's around thinking, okay, the representation then. How am I going to make, now that I know about, I've done my research, I'm thinking about recognition, I'm thinking about what my responsibilities are. I've included rights with an ITS and rights with an RIGHTS in the same circle, because it's about thinking in relation to what is my right to do this work, and how do I then perform this right, as an educational right and a performativity. And a lot of that takes another circle there that you can see is reflexivity. It means that we need to be brave and courageous and make ourselves vulnerable and ask the difficult questions, to put yourself in the wrong seat on the train and be a little bit uncomfortable as it lurches backwards and forwards. knowing that eventually the train's going to pause for a moment and you can settle and maybe feel a bit comfortable, but it will move again. And it's this constant process of being reflexive about that relationship and thinking, how am I in relationality with right now in this present moment is really, really significant. So I hope thinking about putting relationship at the centre is certainly one of those aspects of our identity and how we work with Indigenous Australian peoples. That's really significant.
But in order to have a personal song collection, I use that sort of term to sort of apply to the songs that I've really gone through and done a deep dive on, and I feel like I know them inside out. Not only what's the rhythmic and melodic content of this material, what can I pull out of it, what grade level is the game appropriate for, but that I've really just taken some time and really dug in on. So if you have 10 great songs that you've done that level of work upon, you're going to feel like you really have a connection with that music, and therefore, guess what? So are your students.
And of course, in Southeast Asia region, it is a large place, and we have a lot of beautiful musical heritage. มอนซอนพาตุกะตาอยู่ข้างหลังวายนู้นวายนี้ฉันจะตีคอนเธอไก่ไก่เซ็งเซ็งตีลากุ้งเซ็นจิ้มดาวเจนกันจิ้มฮอตลิ้วลอลิ้วลอลาลิ้วลอลิ้วลอลาลิ้วลอ
Funny how life can pass you by, here and gone in the blink of an eye, and you only get one chance to fly before it slips away. And you wonder where the years all go, years that seem to move so slow. I wish I knew then what now I know. Make the most of every day. You got to dig deep, it's within you. Fire inside your heart. If you're looking to find the strength to continue, that's where you got to start. You got to dig deep, find the power to carry you on your way. Think of all of the things that you said you'd do, and remember the change has to come from you. Plant a seed, let it grow. Every seed that you sow, it will surely. You got to dig deep, dig deep. Second verse. Why be burdened with regret when the race of life isn't over yet? You got to take every chance you get, and don't be afraid to try. You got to seize the day and don't look back. Face your fear and pick up the slack. Lift your head and look down the track. Soon you're gonna fly. You got to dig deep, it's within you. A fire inside your heart. If you're looking to find the strength to continue, that's where you got to start. You got to dig deep, find the power to carry you on your way. Think of all of the things that you said you'd do, and remember the change has to come from you. Plant a seed, let it grow. Every seed that you sow, it will surely reap. But you got to dig deep. Let me get to the bridge very briefly. You can't buy it in a bottle, you can't get it on the street. It's a natural high that money can't buy, that gets you on your feet. Can't buy it over the counter, you can't get it off the shelf, 'cause the stuff that you need to help you succeed is deep inside yourself. You got to dig deep.
San sacroma nine wo cheche kokoma. San sacroma nine wo cheche kokoma.
We'll do this without accompaniment, and it will sound like this. 1 and 2, cuckoo. And let's sing it through once to the end. We're all singing the top part. 1 and 2 and go. Cuckoo, cuckoo. 1. What do you do? In April I open my bill, in May I sing night and day, in June I change my tune, in July far far I fly, in August away I must. Cuckoo, cuckoo.
Have you seen the bush by moonlight? From the train go running by. Here a patch of glassy water, there a glimpse of mystic sky. Have you heard the still voice calling? Yet so warm and yet so calm. I'm the mother bush that bore you. Come to me when you are Did you see the bush below? Sweeping, sweeping darkly to the range. All unchanging, all unchanging, unchanging, unchanging. Yet so very old and strange. Did you hear the bush a-calling when your heart was young and wild? I'm the mother bush that nursed you. Come to me when you are old.
But I will try to give back something from this magic, what actually Kokas did with children, or my colleague are doing nowadays with children. And if you can feel this one just for 1 minute, this kind of magic, I will be really very happy. How can you express with movement? This one. Tabitha has something like this. Good. So maybe sing with this, okay? Green grows the willow tree, green grows the willow tree, green grows the willow tree. Come, my love, and sit by me. Anything others? How can you show? Because there are lots of different ways. Carla has this. It's very beautiful, really. No? How can we sing this according to this movement? Green grows the willow tree, green grows the willow tree, green grows the willow tree. Come, my love, and sit by me.
Ready, go, oh, you pretty chitty bang bang, chitty chitty bang bang, we love you. And our pretty chitty bang bang, chitty chitty bang bang loves us too.
Okay, I'm going up like a rocket now. Have a listen. Up like a rocket, down like the rain, back and forward like a choo-choo train. Up like a rocket, down like the rain, back and forward like a choo-choo train. When I'm on a train, it gives me the biggest fright ever. I don't know if it does the same for you children. You do realize I'm treating you like children. When I'm sitting on a train and another train goes in the opposite direction, whoosh, it gives me the biggest fright ever. So some are going forwards and some are going backwards, and it can be a bit scary, but they all go along the track the same way. Back and forward like a choo-choo train. So my 3 little pictures here just remind the children what options we have. Up like a rocket, down like the rain, back and forward like a choo-choo train. And eventually we can take away the words, can't we? What picture am I showing? Do, 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 do. Yeah, well done. I went up like a rocket. Do, 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 do. We can begin to recognize the melodic shape. Adrian, thank you very much. You're absolutely right. We went down like the rain. So picture reading in inverted commas. Is it really reading? It's the order of our song, isn't it? We're tracking left to right. Is it reading? Is it a pre-reading skill to left to right track? Of course it is. It's definitely reading. It's a reading readiness skill. It's a reading readiness skill, not just for music reading, but for reading. That tracking, eye tracking from left to right. So showing pictures to support what we do in our music lesson. I have a book, and in my book, there's a rocket goes off into space. And I think if you hear the music, you will hear do, 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 do. You'll hear that little rocket going off into space. I'm hoping that you'll be able to see the pictures in my book. You don't have to read it, But can you see the pictures? Yeah, good-o. And there's going to be some music on in the background as well. Let's see what happens in my book. My book is about the Queen. It's called The Queen's Liftoff. That's what it's called. So I think she might be going up in a rocket. I'm going to turn the volume down a tiny bit, but if you can't hear the music, let me know, but you need to hear me as well. Here I go. The Queen was helping the little prince and princess make a rocket when suddenly the rocket blasted the Queen into outer space. Lift off! Poor Queen! Faster than the speed of light, the Queen zoomed to Mercury. She soared like a comet to Venus. She took one small step on the moon and one giant leap to Mars. She boldly flew to Jupiter and ran rings around Saturn. In a flash, she zipped past Uranus, Neptune, and little Pluto. And she was sucked into a black hole. The Queen was lost in space until a spaceship beamed her up and back to Earth, just in time for afternoon tea. Let me just change camera so that you're not looking at that book anymore. So what have we added to our little picture now? What have we added to our experience?
So vocabulary is the acquisition of words through exposure. Oats, peas, beans and barley grow. Oats, peas, beans and barley grow. Do you or I or anyone know how oats, peas, beans and barley grow? Who has ever eaten an oat? An oat? Well, aren't oats in porridge? Ah, oats are in porridge. And where do peas live? Oh, peas live in pea pods. What about beans? Oh, they come from a can. Maybe, yes. And what about barley? I don't know what barley is. Barley grows in a plant that grows in a field like wheat, and we can talk about all these strange things that are in our rhyme that the students don't know about, but actually are quite important to know about. We eat all of these in our cereals every day. The second verse. First the farmer sows the seeds, then they stand and take their ease. They stamp their foot and clap their hands and turn around to view the land. Does the farmer sow the seeds with a needle and thread? Oh no, that would be silly. The word sows is another word for plant. So we are planting, we are spreading the seeds when we sing the song. Can you join me with the actions as we sing the second verse? Ready, go. First the farmer sows the seeds, then they stand and take their ease. They stamp their foot and clap their hands and turn around to view the land. What do you think the farmer is doing when they view the land? Oh, they are looking at the land. They are looking at their oats, their peas, their beans, and their barley growing strongly in the fields. Waiting for a partner, waiting for a partner. Now break the ring and choose one in, while all the others dance and sing. Tra-la-la-la-la-la-la, tra-la-la-la-la-la-la, tra-la-la-la-la-la-la-la, tra-la-la-la-la-la-la. Why do you think we're all singing tra-la-la? What does it mean? Oh, we're just having fun. We're just singing lots of fun words. So here in this song, it's quite long. It's helped, the long-term memory is helped by chunking it into those 4 verses, but also the use of movement. The musical phrases and grammatical structure of the sentences also align quite well in this song. And this allows us subconsciously to reinforce the literacy skills that the students are trying to build in all classroom settings. We can also express the musical structure through the movement, and we are therefore combining the auditory, the verbal, and the kinesthetic modes of learning, which is super duper important. Have a bit of a read. It cannot be stressed enough that the accompanying movements, the physical activity, directly links to the melodic line-by-line phrasing. So the more songs we do with language, of course, the better literacy skills our students will have.
But still the philosophy comes through, and that is at the core of this kind of teaching. If we really are Kodály-inspired teachers, we are, we have a responsibility to look at the traditional and folk music of our country. Now, as I said, I've never been to Australia, but I think the philosophical points are the same. There's not just one folk music. And who are the folk? We really don't even use that terminology anymore about who are the folk, because we tend to now think about the folk process as the transmission rather than people who are the folk. That's kind of an outdated, outmoded way of thinking. But again, the first, ethnomusicologists and anthropologists couldn't get on a plane and always go there. They didn't have the internet. And so there was a tendency to sort of exoticize the folk and sort of other people. Do you know what I'm saying? So we don't really look at people from different places in the world in that way now. It's not a matter of othering people, but it is true that there are people who have music connected to the culture with which they are, representative. And if we're looking at music that's in a culture that's not our particular culture, we not only have the responsibility to look a little more carefully at that music as music teachers, because we're transmitting music that may or may not be representative of our own cultures. And the good news is we have the tools.
Ready, go, high, low, chicka-low, 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 high, low, chicka-low, chicka-low, high. So in this approach, which is inspired by Kodály, there is this idea of leading students somewhere. They're having these really powerful experiences, but they're not experiences in isolation. It's deliberate leading. It's sequenced. And in our training, we get really excited about the sequencing of literacy because many of us didn't have that kind of experience. It wasn't intuitive. Perhaps it wasn't even very oral. And so when we do our trainings, there is a focus on how to unpack that through a preparation phase, an oral embodied feeling thing first, and then visually representing it. But the longer I teach, the longer I realize this is actually how all good teaching works. And in the Kodály world, how anything that we do needs to be sequenced. So this idea of we're building on skills, we keep revisiting. But there's this idea that some things are initially easier, and then we build towards more complex examples. We deepen the knowledge. There's a greater depth of mastery, and there's a complexity of thinking.
Let's try one other thing. Can you conduct in one, please? Do, sol, la, mi, fa, re, sol, mi, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, do, sol, la, mi, fa, re, sol, mi, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do.
Let's sing with me, la, do, re, here we go. La, do, re, mi, re, mi, fa, so, fa, mi, re, do, ti. La, do, re, mi, re, mi, fa, so, fa, mi, re, do, re, ti. Do, ti, la, so, la, so, fa, mi. La, do, re, mi, re, mi, fa, so, fa, mi, re, do, re, ti. La, ti, la. Look at me. Sing for me. Mi, re, do, ti. One more time. Mi, re, do, ti. And then la, do, re, mi, re, do, ti. By root. La, do, re, mi, re, do, ti. And sight reading. Mi, re, do, ti, mi, re, do, ti. La, do, re, mi, re, do, ti. Now, the next topic that we should discuss is the mode of the composition. The mode is believed to be the composer's key to have an impact on the listener's emotions. The choice of the mode is generally defined by the overall mood of compositions. Let's sing this passage that I bracketed here. I will ask you to sing again the tenor line. The solfa is written there. Mi, fi, fi, fi. And let's go to the end of the composition and we will define the mode of it. Mi. So you ended on re. We start on mi, fi. Do it again. The final note is re, and we hear a G chord at the end. In one flat key signature, this G is a re. The mode of the composition is Dorian.
The virtual summer school program has given us a unique opportunity to reflect on our pedagogy and practice, to address some challenging issues in a direct, open and positive manner, and to delight in the expertise and leadership offered by world-class presenters. However, it's important to acknowledge that music educators often have quite different backgrounds, experiences and training in music. There is a wide variety of ideas about what constitutes appropriate and meaningful music education. In many places around the world, there is no uniform approach to music education. And this means that there can be great variance between the approach and, importantly, the outcome for students. The philosophy espoused by Hungarian musician and educator Kodály Zoltán has given us a clear set of guidelines upon which we can build a context-specific, student-centred approach to teaching and learning. This approach is predicated upon an immersion in music, individual engagement with the content, and an internalised orientation and development of discipline-specific skills and knowledge. Importantly, all music knowledge is drawn from the experience of the music itself, and the learner is always actively involved in the discovery and logical construction of knowledge. In the summer school music program, we have been able to share our ideas and reflect upon our practice as Kodály-inspired music educators. Indeed, it would be all too easy to rest in these ideas and the approaches that we've inherited, and to be carried along by Kodály's initial vision, vast as it is. However, I'm delighted to observe the intelligent manner in which we interrogate our practice, to see the way in which music education methodology evolves and develops, and to be part of the sharing of that process of continued development. Such commitment to our profession should be a source of great pride to us all. In that same line of thinking, I believe that it's important that we are not satisfied to remain Kodály educators or music teachers, but that we reach out beyond the apparent boundaries of our discipline to engage in issues which are cast on the global scale. We are not immune from cultural and political change, and we must contextualise our practice, education, music and the arts within contemporary society. I am not suggesting that we abandon what we believe in and understand in music education. Far from it. Indeed, I am suggesting that our practice in music education is strengthened when we can see that practice with new eyes, when we consider our ideas from a different perspective, and when we are willing to hear other voices, as challenging as those voices may be. In the classroom, we are at the very coalface, not only when it comes to educational issues of methodology and curriculum, assessment and reporting, differentiation and personalised learning, but also of broader cultural and political considerations of diversity and inclusivity, access and equality, identity and connection, race and gender, responsibility and social justice. Indeed, it seems to me that the classroom often serves as hothouse for the enactment of a whole range of complex and intertwined ideas. But underlying all of these ideas is the issue of relationship. This week, we heard from Associate Professor Liz McKinlay, and she explained to us that many of the issues that we face are much diminished when we have a sense of right relationship. This sense of relationship takes many forms, and during the week we have heard about the relationship of people to land and place, the relationship between Indigenous and colonising peoples, about our relationship with culture bearers, of our connection to the music that we practice, and our commitment to the deep understanding of that music. The primacy of relationship between teachers and learners, and the need for relationship between the individual and the society, and that all-important sense of identity, of belonging to people and place. This sense of relationship and an understanding of those dynamic processes of relationship underpin our sense of meaning and being in the world. And in this sense, relationship is fundamental to any sense of meaning. As we ponder the importance of relationships and meaning, I'd like to quote one of my favourite writers, Lawrence van der Post. Van der Post lived his life in southern Africa, and he was deeply involved with the San people, the Bushmen of Botswana. In recent years, there has been some criticism of the work of Van der Post, but I continue to find such insight into the human condition. He said, "The Bushman storytellers talk about two kinds of hunger. They say there is physical hunger. Then what they call the great hunger. That is the hunger for meaning. There is only one thing that is truly insufferable, and that is a life without meaning." There is nothing wrong with the search for happiness, but there is something great, meaning, which transfigures all. When you have meaning, you are content. You belong. It's clear to me that relationship and meaning go hand in hand. We must strive to understand the pivotal role of relationship in our practice. The virtual summer school has been an exciting and rewarding project, and I'd like to thank you all for your participation, your enthusiasm, and your personal commitment to your own ongoing development as a music educator. I must offer a sincere vote of thanks to all of our presenters. It is their knowledge, expertise and wisdom that is aspiring and affirming. And it is their generosity that has been fundamental to the success of the virtual summer school. A heartfelt thank you to all of the presenters. I offer a vote of thanks also to the wonderful support team who work in the background, often making Herculean efforts to ensure the smooth running of an event such as this. Thanks to Michael Muller for all the admin and support. Thanks to our moderators for their help with all the sessions, Helene Matters, Carla Trott, Michael Bradshaw and Susan Crease. I would like again to offer a vote of thanks to Dale Muller and to Faye White for their contributions in the welcome and acknowledgement. I would like to acknowledge the work and contribution of our film editors. Thank you to Kodabot Bela, and to Vladut Zoltan. Always good to have Zoli and Bella on your side in a Kodai summer school. I would like to give a particular vote of thanks to Hayley Ritchie, who has guided us through that complex world of Zoom and links and time zones and recording and downloads and sharing and editing and data, and the list goes on. Hayley, you are a star. So for now, go well, stay well, be well.
Can pass you by, here and gone in the blink of an eye, and you only get one chance to fly